We are back with another live episode of the Bully Ball Podcast on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. I'm Jason Aponte, joined as always by Steph Sanchez. Steph, give me just 1 second, Steph, real quick. Let me.
What's up?
Hold on. I'm just looking for Eagles fans. I just haven't seen
Nice.
them, and I'm just concerned. I'm just more concerned than anything. I'm concerned that they're taking this loss way too hard because it is just a football game, but at the end of the day. But I'm more concerned because I told them stand on business and make sure that you come back to our shows. But where they at though, Steph? Where they at?
I mean, we gave them the open invitation, right? Last week we had a number of Eagles fans talking crazy in the comments. You know how both sides do, but especially the Eagles fans always talk crazy. And so we invited them back. I told them we were going to be here exact same time next week, and it's that exact same time. And I don't see any of them here. In fact, they're out deleting comments, deleting tweets, just radio silent. Haven't heard from them.
I'm just concerned. I hope they're okay. I think
Oh,
I
they're
think
not.
I think the person that I think is taking this the hardest is Rocky Balboa. I mean, how I just wonder how he feels
Fictional
at this point.
character.
I mean, he's a fictional character that lost 23 fights. You think he'd be used to losing? Like Joe Frazier is an actual boxer from Philadelphia, and yet they erected a statue of Rocky Balboa, a fictional character. I look, man.
Oh God.
I'm sure there'll be analysis throughout this show. I'm sure. But you knew that we were gonna cook, and
Mhm.
I want to talk a little bit about the 49ers celebrating their Super Bowl. Steph, was their coach not running around like an idiot outside of the stadium in Kansas City talking about I don't hear anything anymore? So wait, it's your Super Bowl when you beat the Kansas City Chiefs. But when the 49ers go into your stadium and dog walk you, and the only thing that you can talk about is some guy on the sideline, that was the only thing that was really important that happened in that game for you in Philadelphia. Now that it's just any other game and it doesn't matter. I love it. I love it so much. I love the backpedaling. I love the mental gymnastics. I love what they're going through right now. This is Nick Sirianni right here, high-fiving and running around Arrowhead Stadium as if you got back your Super Bowl that you lost on a slippery field. And now, all of a sudden, now the San Francisco 49ers are celebrating their Super Bowl. The mental gymnastics are absolutely embarrassing. It's just a tough look right now for Eagles fans. We caught a lot of flack as a fan base, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
As a fan base for the talk in the offseason about Brock Purdy not being there. Man, this is a tough look for the Philadelphia Eagles because the 49ers not only went in there and beat them, they beat the shit out of the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, you got your ass whooped on national television. I know it wasn't on NBC, but everyone was watching that game. I don't know how you respond to that. Like, Rocky Balboa wouldn't have got up.
You and Rocky, man. I'm dying.
I just don't understand a fictional character being the crux of like Philadelphia. He's not real.
Well, you see them, basically creating statues for Big Dom. So I think they just have a fascination with like people who like are not real. But the 49ers basically plucked the Eagles' feathers one by one, and that's the type of win that I think will make the team, of course, make us as well feel vindicated. Like, that's the word I keep using, because it proved that all of the talk came from a real place. It came from a true belief that this team was going to win that game in the NFC Championship game. And I understand it's like, get over it, didn't happen. All right, fine. We'll just have to beat you in week 13. And the 49ers had that same belief. I think a lot of us had the same belief too. And that's basically how we saw this game unfold. And now what you're seeing from Eagles fans is coping. I mean, work out those coping mechanisms, because it's going to be a long week, and they know it, right? It's almost comical how they're pulling out all of the same excuses and all of the same things that the 49er fans did after the NFC Championship game. So say what you want, but this was a regular season game. We had Jalen Carter crying on the sideline of a regular season game.
And by
Like,
the way, he tried to shame us who made him into a meme by calling us broke. But you showed
yeah,
more emotion. You
that's
showed
a low
more
hanging
emotion.
fruit, right?
Right.
Okay.
But you showed more emotion on the sideline than you did when you had a serious thing going on with you. It's so funny to me, right? It's just and you're right about the coping thing, right? It's well, oh, when we see you again, we can't wait. We want everybody healthy. No, that's our line. We wanted everybody healthy for you. Lane Johnson played. I was literally in front of my TV praying that Jalen Hurts got back in that game because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any of it. I don't want to hear this guy was injured, that guy was injured. By the way, when Jalen Hurts left that game was well over.
Yeah.
So
Oh
there's
yeah.
no excuse. That game was well over before Marcus Mariota executed the tush push. Also, by the way, I had to get that jab in there as well too. But Steph, it's odd that a team, a fan base that, Hassan Reddick, there was a lot of boo-hoos. The only boo-hoos were on
Hmm.
your sideline. So it's strange to see someone and a fan base, not someone, an entire fan base, a team talk insane an entire time, right? Like I was in Arizona covering the Super Bowl, and to be fair, the Eagles were asked a lot of questions about the San Francisco 49ers, but they were not shy about poor sportsmanship, this, that, and the other. What happened to all that? Like where is all that, right? Like isn't be the example or be the change you want to see? Isn't that the same, Steph?
Yeah, that's the same. I mean, at least the 49ers could back up their talk, right? Like they
Right.
actually held up their end of the bargain
One
here.
guy, one guy stood on business.
He's standing on business. He's standing on
Uh-huh.
business.
All right, look, we should really talk about this game though, because there are a lot of
Mhm,
things
mhm.
in this game that are worthy of analysis aside from our shit talking. But Deebo Samuel,
Yeah.
if let's play word association, Steph Sanchez. Deebo Samuel, first word that comes to your mind, go.
Dog.
Dog.
Straight up dog, man. I just haven't. I don't think I've ever seen a player like. There's a lot of trash talking players in the history of sports, and it's always brought like just a good degree of fun and entertainment to it. But I don't think I've ever seen a player be able to back up his talk like Deebo does, or call his shot like Deebo does. The man knows he could speak it into existence. Like, Deebo, why didn't you tell us you have this power? Like, you could simply before any game just talk trash, and then you're gonna have a crazy game. Like, I didn't know he could do this. There's one thing about Deebo, is that he's gonna hit that second gear too. He was fast. Like, as soon as he saw those blocks in front of him, it's like he shoots out of a cannon, and I love that about him. That's just something we've seen from Deebo for as long as he's been here, and I think people underestimate his speed. He's going to run past you. He's going to make you miss a tackle. He's going to get you off of him. And before you know, you're being blocked by Kittle or Juice, and Debo's going to score. He calls his shot. I mean, and he makes it look easy, honestly. Like, I've just never seen a player like Deebo. I'm glad he's on our team, because that dude is a dog.
Yeah. And I think what we learned is this team goes as Deebo Samuel does. Deebo is the
Yeah.
heartbeat of this team. When a man starts to warm up in black Air Forces, I love that is just like everybody knows what type of
Yeah.
time you're on. What time you're on. Black Air Forces, if I saw someone walk into my party or my apartment in black Air Forces, I'm going to clutch my purse. Like I like that's the type of time he was on, but realistically, for someone to have that talk all off season, be able to go into that stadium and then dominate them in that way. That looked like 2021 in the backpack Deebo Samuel. That is a top 3 performance of any 49er that as long as I've been watching the 49ers. That's a top 3 performance to be able to say, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to dominate you. I told you I was going to, and I did it. I
Yeah.
I'm running out of ways to describe this performance because I watched the broadcast again, I watched the film, and it just jumps off the tape, man. Like he's catching a pass, running through everyone, running away from everyone, and it's just so funny that people have kind of dismissed the idea of Deebo Samuel because we've gotten enamored with the idea of Brandon Ayuk being a better receiver. But this team goes the way that Deebo Samuel does. Their attitude, the way that they impose their will is a reflection of Deebo Samuel. And if you don't believe me, in the games that he's healthy, kind of set your watch to the first 2, 3 plays, one of them being a handoff to Deebo Samuel to kind of set everything up, to set up everything and kind of set him up and go. His rushing yard prop was 9.5 yards. That seemed insanely low. Yeah, like I
Is
just
it?
take the
That's
over.
easy money.
Yeah, take the over every single time. But for Deebo Samuel to say what he said, back up his talk, kind of just leave everybody speechless with the way that he's played. That just reminded me of how many times he carried the 49ers in 2021 and threw them right in their backpack, man. I just thank you, Deebo Samuel. It's like Wes Welker's son, like what he said. What I love you, Deebo. Not Shanahan. No, you, Deebo. It was just such a great performance from someone in a game that obviously is a regular season game. Let's make sure we continue to reiterate that, but it is very much one of those performances that I'll probably never forget as a 49er fan, and I don't think anybody else will anytime soon.
Yeah, and I know that the 49ers offense has evolved past the point of relying on yards after the catch, and relying on Deebo Samuel. But make no mistake, that is still very much there, as we saw on Sunday. And last week, like I think we teased some ways that we thought the 49ers could attack the Eagles secondary, seeing that they run a lot of man, a lot of single high. I was thinking, there's probably going to be a big IU, big Kittle game. But I think like we also mentioned the possibility of bringing the yards after the catch back, because I think I mentioned it more in my Wednesday show. And I basically said that with the 49ers having the rest advantage over the Eagles, one way of taking advantage of the advantage is to force the Eagles into a physical game, make them chase you, and so naturally having the yak attack in their back pocket as they do, because they don't need it. But in this game, they kind of needed it. So naturally having the yak attack was going to work in their favor, not just for the rest thing, but because the Eagles really struggled in the middle of the field. Their linebackers get exposed. So I think the 49ers showed, going back to that they can win a number of different ways too on offense. And that's scary. That should be scary for anyone that, okay, you're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like we've been saying that for a really long time. And it just feels like this season and at this point, it's more true than it's ever been. And Ryan Clark last night in the Monday Night Football postgame said, the 49ers are the most schematically intelligent, ignorantly violent group of visuals I have ever seen. That's a bar right there, but it's
Oh
so
yeah.
true. And the 49ers have played the Jags, the Cowboys, and the Eagles, three really good teams in the NFL that they've played, and they've beat them by a combined 103 points. And so that's why I'm going to feel good when the 49ers play again Seattle this Sunday. That's why I'm going to feel good when they play Baltimore on Christmas Day. And that's why I'm going to feel good about any team that they face in the playoffs, including the Eagles in Philadelphia in the NFC Championship game, because that's what I think is going to happen, Jay.
Oh, well, I have a different take. Uh, the San Francisco 49ers are the best team in football. I don't care. Don't mention anybody. I don't want to hear about the Eagles. I don't want to hear about the Cowboys. I don't want to hear about the Seahawks. I don't want to hear about Miami, Kansas
Yeah.
City. None of them. There's the 49ers, and then you figure out where you want to slot everyone else. I want to make sure that we get that clear. Philly's not going to be back in the NFC Championship game, Steph Sanchez.
Ooh, I like that.
They're not. They're not.
I like
They're
that.
not. They are not. The Buffalo Bills, if they could have finished, that's a win. If the Kansas City Chiefs could have finished, that's a win. There's so many of those games. Again, I hate to count almost losses, but the things that they're putting on tape are not good. And this is what we were talking about all week. The 49ers, the last 12 quarters have drastically outplayed the Philadelphia Eagles. Drastically. I'm not talking about like by a margin. They have been far better, not even close, far better than the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Philadelphia Eagles wound up winning games for different reasons. And I applauded them for the way that they win games. I applauded them for like winning games out the mud, because I think that's very special, because you've got to do that later on, right? Like you're going to have to do that during the playoffs. You've got to show that you have that. But what they put on tape has been really bad. The offense hasn't been great. The defense was on the field for 140 snaps the last 2 weeks against Kansas City and the Buffalo Bills. One of those was an overtime game, which is why the 49ers, it behooved them to keep the Eagles defense on the field and run the football and keep them on the field. That's why you see at the end of the game, they're just washed out because you've been on the field that long. But why were you on the field that long? You had many opportunities to win those games early on and not let them get to that point. You had many opportunities to do that. But what you put on film for the last 3 games is not impressive. It's just not. It's not impressive at all. But you got the win, so winning masks all. And at the end of the day, winning is all that matters, right? You got to find a way to win. But there's no discussion whether the Philadelphia Eagles and the 49ers are in the same tier. They're not.
No.
And if they continue to play like that, they're going to get bounced in the NFC playoffs. Like, don't mess around and play the Detroit Lions like that.
By who? Okay.
Don't mess around and play like that against the Detroit Lions. Do not. Don't mess around and play like that against them because their offense is going to keep the pressure on you. Your defense is like finding its way. They're trying to figure out whatever the fix is, but they're grasping at straws right now. Don't play the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. I mean, we're going to find out this week real quick. That game went right down to the wire. And the only reason the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Dallas Cowboys was why, Steph Sanchez? Because the Dallas Cowboys can't finish.
Well, that's what so going into next week, right? Like, obviously, that's a big game. The 49ers held up their end of the bargain. They can get the 1 seed if the Eagles lose one more game. So we're all looking at that game against the Cowboys, and we're thinking, Cowboys, don't fucking let us down. Bleep it out, Rob. But they let us down. Hold on. They let us down a lot.
I was going to say, down a lot. Don't let us down. It's the Dallas Cowboys.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, yeah. So they're gonna have the 1 seed, meaning they're gonna have the bye week, and so they'll regroup and all that. So that's why, like, I don't. It's not that I respect the Eagles that much that I think they're that good of a team, and that's why they're going to be in the NFC Championship.
You're giving the benefit of the doubt. I feel
they have the easiest path to getting to the NFC Championship game because of all the games that they've won prior to Week 13. Right? They put themselves in a really good, favorable spot. So while I agree with you, Jay, that there's a lot of flaws on this Eagles team, there hasn't been a team that has exposed that like the 49ers have. And I don't know if I trust another team to expose that like the 49ers because there is only one 49ers team. And so I simply think the Eagles are going to get lucky and they're going to find ways to, squirm out of a few close ones on their way to the NFC Championship game. Do I think that there's the possibility that they get, bounced out? Yeah, I do. But as of right now, like, that's my prediction.
Well, if Dallas needs help, I think the 49ers could send them a guy named Deebo Samuel and just let him play for them this week because they're not going to need him against us. Yeah, I hear he's good. No, it's Deebo Samuel. He's got to wear a mustache. Like, he's got to wear like a blatant mustache that looks fake and go play for the Dallas Cowboys and go help them this week. And Dusty Gold says Jason doesn't trust Dak. I do not, because this is the Dallas Cowboys are doing exactly what they do every single year. Every year. Yeah. They don't beat anybody who's really good, and then they beat the shit out of teams that are really bad, and Dak looks really good, and is Dak an MVP? It's rinse and repeat with the Dallas Cowboys. And funny enough, the San Francisco 49ers hung 42 on the Dallas Cowboys at home, hung 42 on the Philadelphia Eagles at their spot.
Interesting, huh?
I'm not good at math. That's 84 points. Couldn't be me struggling to beat the Dallas Cowboys like the Philadelphia Eagles do. But hey, it's a divisional game. Games are weird. Yeah, we're going to keep cooking the Eagles. I'm not playing with y'all, actually, because I'm really upset that we're 20 minutes in. We're 20 minutes into this, and we're 3 shows into this entire week, and not one Philadelphia Eagle fan that was in here talking crazy showed up. Where are you? What happened? Your YouTube's not working? Did you forget to pay your internet? Why are you not here?
We know why. We know why.
Because they're not standing on business.
They could never. Jay, like, okay, I randomly, this thought came to my mind because right before we went live, I saw the video on YouTube of the 49ers doing their boombox entrance into the Eagle Stadium. And I thought it was really cool. If you guys could check it out, Jennifer Lee Chan put out like a full like 2-minute video of it. And you see them right up until the point they run onto the field, right? But you see them right at the end where you see all the Eagles fans talking trash, getting loud. The 49ers don't even care. Like they are dancing, they're doing
I
their
love it.
thing. And I love that entrance because it's an awesome way, especially in those away games, of just like the noise doesn't matter. It's not there. It's a distraction, right? But they're not even distracted by it. And so if you can see that clip, it was really cool. But thinking about the Eagles fans just made me think of that just now.
Yeah,
And
like the Eagles fans are kind of like that Offset meme, right? Like where they're doing the karaoke and they're like dancing
yeah,
like in the first quarter, like and then
exactly.
they're just
Yeah.
sitting there quiet.
Yeah.
Like that's literally them right
Not
now.
fun. Straight up
Not
not
fun.
having a good
Not having
time.
a good time at all.
But you know
You know,
what?
good.
Like I was gonna say, like I kind of like that the 49ers took the first punch and like the offense in the first quarter just had -6 yards. Like that happened, but they remained calm and steady in a difficult environment. And Kyle said something that kind of was interesting to me. He said, quote, one of the best things Brock did when they were down, he didn't try to make too much stuff up to try to
Yep.
overcompensate. He just kept with the plan and kept doing his job, end quote. When you look at the 49ers losses, I think you can point to a number of plays where you could say like Brock was trying to do too much, right? Like he felt like he had to put the team on his back, trying to be the hero. And so I wonder if Kyle was saying that, like it felt like he was saying that from a place of acknowledging that and also noticing that there was some growth. There's been some growth in Brock. He trusted the process. The whole offense trusted the process. The team stuck to the plan. Kyle, I don't know if he like ripped up the first 25 scripted plays after the first two drives, but whatever
Mhm.
he did, whatever adjustments he made, they were big, right? And they certainly worked because they had the 6 straight touchdown drives after that. And it wasn't just any drives. You had to drive the length of 85 yards, 90 yards, 75, 77, another 75, 48. At one point, the 49ers had 21 unanswered points. And if it wasn't for the Greenlaw penalty and the big Dom debacle, they probably don't even score on that drive, honestly, the Eagles. But, the tush push is going to push. So, but basically, what I'm saying is the 49ers only needed 2.5 quarters to score 42 points. Kyle Shanahan was in his bag, 8 yards per play. The 49ers were perfect in the red zone. It just seemed like he was toying with the Eagles. And you mentioned that, like Deebo's first touchdown, the rushing play, it just seemed like they were toying with Hassan Reddick a little bit there. They knew he was going to over pursue that, go for Brock Purdy. They left him in the dust. And
Yeah.
it's like they knew that was going to happen, right? He basically told you as much that he disregards the run. So they were doing whatever they wanted, and it just felt like the 49ers were scoring at will. And that's just something you love to see from this team.
See, early on in this game, I felt like all the talk about the secondary and passing and everything, right? And this is going to tie into kind of why everyone needs to kind of stay away from Twitter early on in games. And I think you know where I'm going with this stuff. So all the talk was their linebackers are bad, their secondary's bad. You've got to pick on them in the pass game. Well, that's exactly what Kyle Shanahan scripted up, right? Unfortunately, it didn't come to fruition the way that they wanted to early on, right? But that was the entire crux of the argument about why the 49ers were going to do what they were going to do in the NFC Championship game and in this game was your secondary can be beat with motion. Your secondary can be beat one-on-one, and we're going to get the matchups we want, and you're going to be in trouble. So they started that way, but then Kyle sees, okay, you're over pursuing the run. Cool, reverse behind you. Oh, okay, you want to play soft and we want to open up windows. Okay, McCaffrey moves to the side just a little bit in the motion. Now we've got a wide open window to throw the football. Oh, okay, you want to drop everyone? Cool. Kittle's gonna chip and then fall out like real quick and just be by himself. All that stuff felt like Kyle was gathering information, but the game
Mm-hmm.
plan going into this was to attack them that way. And I just don't understand the loud talking into the camera, the yelling about, oh my God, Kyle Shanahan in a big game. It's like, guys, I know that this is an overly testy game because you want to have it, right? And you feel like scripted play should work every single time, right? Like scripted play should work and then the game starts. But my goodness, man, you guys have got to stay away from Twitter, man. Talking about, man, here's Kyle throwing up another dud big game performance. What is he doing? Run the football. All that stuff was literally Kyle doing what everybody thought Kyle was going to do in this game, trusting his quarterback, throwing the football because the Eagles are a suspect in the secondary in their linebacker core. But my goodness, man, we've got to stay away from Twitter early on in these games, man. I mean, last year you wanted to fire D'Amico Ryans every first half. This year you wanted to fire Steve Wilks the entire first half. I haven't heard a word about Steve Wilks at all anymore, right? And it's just because he came down to the sidelines, right? The first two drives, man, we got to get Kyle Shanahan out of here, man. He doesn't know what he's doing. Guys, please, please let games play out. And sometimes the answer is right in front of you. All you have to do is just be a little bit more rational in terms of, man, he's really trying to do what we thought he was going to do in this game, which is throw the football. And then when that doesn't work, okay, I know what they're doing now. I've seen enough. Here's what we can do and we can get back to it. Guys, please trust the coaching staff. Please, guys. I understand we're fans, and I'm not telling anyone how they should fan, but please, 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 I implore you to stop firing all our coaches in every first quarter and every first half. Please, guys, please. Just enjoy the game, watch it, and try to break it down just a little bit. I don't understand why we have to fire all the coaches after a quarter, man. Like I'll never understand that part of it. If you can help me a little bit, Steph.
Well, don't you know, Jay, that coaches don't start a coach well until people tweet that out into the abyss, right?
Well, I
That's
mean,
how it happens, right? Like,
Kyle,
so
Kyle opens his phone and he searched his name and he was just like fire
yeah,
Kyle
in
Shanahan. And it's
between
just like
drives,
he's
in
like,
between
wait.
drives. Like,
He's like, wait, some guy's yelling into his phone about run the football. Maybe I should give the football to Christian McCaffrey. Like that's exactly how it works. 100%.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad I could help. But I think what we're seeing here that is really awesome is Kyle kind of growing as a play caller, right? And we've been saying it for a few weeks, the trust that he has in Brock Purdy. I think it's so obvious. And this was a game, like the type of game plan that it had and the way they executed the offense. It wasn't all on Brock, but Brock had a number of good plays, impressive plays that kept these drives going. A lot of third down conversions that, in my opinion, went a little unnoticed just because, the 49ers were like firing on all cylinders, right? And getting these touchdown scores. But those are big in my eyes. And I think the yards per attempt were pretty low in this one. Again, just part of the game plan and how they wanted to attack the Eagles and their over aggressive front. But I can't help but notice and appreciate how much Kyle has grown as a play caller, as a head coach, and I love it. I love seeing that going into the playoffs. It just gives me way more confidence in this team as a whole. And you're right. I don't think we can forget about Steve Wilks and what he's done with the defense.
Oh baby.
46 pressures.
Oh baby.
The defense had 46 pressures.
That seems like Sunday. It's fake. That seems like it's fake,
how
right?
Is that real? I literally had to look up like how many dropbacks Jalen Hurts even had because I was like,
did he have 46?
Right. Yeah, he had 52. He had 52 dropbacks.
So six of them he wasn't pressured.
So either you're pressuring him on like nearly every dropback, which is already insane, or more than one guy was getting a pressure on a single dropback. Also insane. Maybe a little of both, right? But that's just crazy. And Jay, last week we talked about, trying to play the contained game with Hurts, right? And the 49ers, Steve Wilks, I thought had a hell of a game plan to contain him and stopping the Eagles' run game because we know that's where it all starts for them. Once they get the run game going, they get comfortable on offense, things start working.
100%.
So they limited the Eagles to just 2.6 yards per carry. That is when the defense had them right where they wanted. So yeah, I know the first two drives, the Eagles had some success, but you limit them to just 2 field goals, and you pretty much were able to pin them to a corner basically little by little and get them to be one dimensional. And so this is when the corners had to continue to play as good as they have been. And no shade to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. But what Ward
Why not?
and well, okay, fine. Let's some
Yeah,
shade.
shade.
Yeah,
No,
some
shade.
shade.
No. Shade to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett too, and
All
Jackson
the
Smith and
shade.
Jiba, and Jackson Smith and Jiba too. You catch it too. What the hell?
All,
We
all the shade.
cooking. Let's go.
Okay. I'll say all the shade to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. But I do want to say like what Ward and Ambry and Lenore did against them, like to me, that was impressive. But this week on Sunday, they played, in my opinion, the two best receiver tandem in the league. In AJ Brown, who is a top 5 receiver, and Devontae Smith, who statistically is a top 15 receiver. And you might be saying, Steph, what are you talking about? Like both of those guys had over 100 yards. Well, it's all relative. Like those guys were going to get theirs. AJ Brown was going to get his because he's AJ Brown and he's really good. But when you look at the 49ers making them one dimensional and the fact that they had to throw the football, then it starts to make a little more sense. If you go back and look, most of Brown's catches happened in the first quarter. Mooney Ward forced incompletions on not one, but 2 AJ Brown touchdown attempts. And Jalen Hurts was sacked 3 times. One of them he tripped on, so, fine. But the other 2 were blatant coverage sacks. That's what you call good coverage. I believe that Jalen Hurts' time to throw in this game was 3.85 seconds.
Right.
That was the longest of the season. And so that tells you there was good coverage on the back end. And that's kind of what explains the pressures, because I think it just – and it's not guys like over pursuing. Like I think guys did a really great job of just pressuring, but doing enough where they're not keeping open lanes, and so that's why the 3 sacks were just mostly like coverage sacks. It wasn't just guys going after Hurts recklessly. And so I thought it was a smart and well-executed game plan from Steve Wilkes and this defense.
Yeah, and funny enough, I had a similar take. The pass rush was saved by the secondary. It was a lot of cover sacks. And look at that. Look at how that works, right? Certain games, the pass rush saves the secondary. Certain games, the secondary puts the pass rush in a good spot. And it just felt like Jalen Hurts was dropping back, especially when you watch it again on all 22, dropping back and just like hanging out, like he just like he gets the ball and he's just like, oh, I'm gonna run out this way. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna throw it away. Like he was almost like jogging on certain plays, like knowing like, okay, you're not close to me. There's nobody open. There's nothing I can really do, and there's a guy there right in front of me that I can't run through. The secondary has been great, and I think Steve Wilkes is kind of showing you what it's going to be for the rest of the time. Is Mooney Ward's going to shadow your best receiver? We're fine with Ambry Thomas being on the outside, and Diamador Lenore is getting more and more comfortable in the slot. It's every single week you see another step, and I'm not just talking about the fact that he destroyed DeAndre Swift. I'm not talking about that. Like that was just that felt like
him.
No, but that felt like Turkey Bowl stuff, like the uncle having a flashback from when he played high school and there's a little kid in the open field in front of him, and he just like it was textbook, right? It was literally textbook. It was
Jay, like when a bird hits a window and like all the feathers just kind of like
that's it.
Up, that's what happened.
That's literally what happened. Like that, like that's type, like it hits the wall, right? Like even though it's a chicken, I guess. But But Lenore is getting better and better in the slot every week, right? And we have to start talking about Ambry Thomas a little bit more, because I think I've said it many times on this show. I probably said it on my channel. So if I'm reiterating myself, fine, call me out for it. But all 49er fans wanted another outside cornerback. What if the trade deadline chip that you wanted in this time was in your building this entire time? What if he was just sitting there this entire time and you didn't have to give anything up? I mean, just a 3rd round pick. But what if the guy that you wanted, right? Everybody wanted Jalen Johnson, Patrick Surtain. Okay, cool. Like, I understand those are top flight guys. But what if the guy was in your building the entire time and you come out of the bye week with purpose? Ambry Thomas plays outside. Demo's back inside. And the whole idea was to move Demo inside the entire time anyway. It's crazy to think that now something that we were so worried about all the way through the bye week, right? is now a bit of a strength for this team. And look, losing Talanoa Hufanga, I'm not going to sit here and act like that's nothing, but Tick is fine.
Hmm.
Jair Brown's been fine. He is
Yeah.
fine right now. Like I almost want to ask people who ask, like, well, he's been struggling. What has he been struggling with? I mean, I don't know. Like there's been, I think there was one play in this game in which I was like, damn, Take, like you had to get there on a
He
big
just
play.
had one missed tackle
One
that
missed
I
tackle
noticed. That
right
was
there.
it.
Like
Yeah, early in the
Take is
game too.
Jair Brown's fine. Jair Brown is fine. And he's continuing to grow week to week.
Hmm.
It's insane to see the bye week and see Steve Wilkes. And obviously the Chase Young thing helps, but it's insane to see the growth in the secondary. And I think that is something that, again, while we've been kind of hard on Ambry Thomas, we've always said coaching's going to put him in the best spot that he can be in. Now it's up to you to make plays. Coaching can't make the plays for you, but coaching's going to put you in a spot where you're not lost, you're not one-on-one with somebody else or this or that. Like you're in a spot where you can succeed. And that's, I think, what Steve Wilkes has done very well outside of the bye week is keep the secondary in a spot where they can cook. And this week, the secondary helped the pass rush, and it's insane to believe that was possible.
Yeah, I mean, after the bye week, there's been so many adjustments, and yeah, like leaving us really gonna trust Ambry in the playoffs. Yeah. I mean, I think we've seen enough at this point that
Yeah,
I'm going to trust Ambry in the playoffs. I'm going to trust him against anyone like at this point or any like number 2 receiver. He doesn't have
he
to
looks
cover the number
confident.
ones.
He's
He
jumping in front
does.
of passes. He's jumping in front of passes. He's sure of himself, and
Com-
cornerback is
Completely
half
different
the
player.
battle's confidence.
Yeah.
Half the
You
battle
got to
is
be
confidence.
delusional.
100%. Like you've got to feel like no matter what, flush it. Let's get to the next play. And Moody Ward has been locked in right now. Like
Mhm.
I want to make sure that we get that out there. And I love the fact that now the 49ers have a corner that'll travel.
That's a bit infectious too, don't you
Oh
think?
yeah?
Like I,
Oh
I
yeah.
think Ambry's kind of feeding off that energy. I think he's feeding off of the trust that Steve Wilkes has given him. I think Lenore as well, like moving to the nickel, as we've mentioned, like he's more comfortable there each and every week. He's getting more comfortable. I think they're just relishing the opportunity and that's in front of them, right? And I feel confident about the secondary going to into the playoffs as long as everyone stays healthy, right? Because of who they've been going up against these past few weeks. When you look at the receiver groups they've been going up against, there have been some pretty big tests in
No
there.
slouches.
And so I I know, all shade to
All
Metcalf
shade to DK
and
Metcalf and
Lockett.
Tyler Lockett. If Steph don't want to say it, I'll say it. Go.
But I mean that's still a good performance from the secondary in that game. I would expect a similar performance on Sunday. I think about the game against the Bucks. You had Mike Evans, you had Chris Godwin. Like that was a tough test. So they've been tested. They've been battle tested since the bye week, and each time they've performed well. And I think what's been great about this defense, and a lot of people don't like it, especially early in the games, because it's like, oh God, they're giving up all these throws, but they're keeping everything in front of them, and that is what makes this defense go. Like that's what they do. That's by plan. That's by design, right? Is keeping everything in front of them. So they are going to give up catches and whatnot, but again, it's by design. It's not giving up the big play, which was a hell of an issue for this 49ers defense in the past. Steve Wilkes has entirely fixed that problem. So I don't think we can ask for really anything better from the secondary and this defense.
No, 100%. And I guess, we've got to 40 minutes. We might as well get to the thing that everybody's
The
talking about.
matzo
And
ball
oh
hanging
my
out.
God, man. I despise when football discussions are surrounded around people who don't play
Like
football.
fictional characters.
Fictional characters like Rocky Balboa, fictional characters like this big Dom guy. I guess we might as well just talk about it.
Let's do it.
Okay. First off, the Dre Greenlaw thing, it's been an issue, right?
Mhm.
Um, I don't want to see you doing that. And Kyle Shanahan loves it. He loves it. He'll never say anything bad about it, right? It's like it's so insane that Dre Greenlaw literally penalizes his team 15 yards at a time. But Kyle Shanahan's like, I love it. A
I
guy
think he
drops a
loves it
pass.
to an extent, like
I mean, look,
just like the rest of us.
he loves it, but he doesn't say anything about it because a guy will drop a pass and be banished to the shadow realm and never play again, right? Like, or like, or fumble the football. That's it. You can't even see the field again. I I have an issue because I'm like Dre Greenlaw. Devonta Smith is as skinny as me. You don't have to pick him up and suplex him. Okay? You don't have to pick him up and body slam him. That's my thing. Okay, one. That's it. That's my only issue. Now, this guy who wants to involve himself in football games, bro, Blood thinks he's on the team, Steph.
He thinks he's on the team.
Blood thinks he's on the team. Like he's standing there like this. Like when the whole team is standing there with their hands on their chest for the national anthem, Big Dom is out there crying like Sirianni, like Blood thinks he's on the team. You're not on the team. You are not on the team, bro. You are not on the team. Your security is supposed to keep fans away from the Eagles, not 49ers from the Eagles.
Facing the other direction.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's where the danger is coming from. Like, you need to face the other direction.
Look. You are supposed to keep fans from the Eagles players. You are not supposed to keep 49ers players from Eagles players. And this kind of just goes all the way back to like this fake tough guy mentality that the Eagles have, right? With Sirianni, I want you to watch all the clips of them talking about you and take it personal. Yeah, that's you taking it personal, getting your ass beat in Philadelphia. That's you taking it personal. They want to be the underdog so bad, and they want to be like the team that's disrespected so bad, but y'all just are not like that. And bullies are bullies until they get punched in the face and they get punched in the mouth and you have nothing to say back. And it's insane that a conversation or a game is surrounded now about a conversation about a guy who is literally not a football player, not a coach, not even a quality control, not like I don't even know what he is. This whole idea of him being security is nonsense. Would Eagles fans attack Eagles players? What is he there for? And again, Eagles fans, yeah, way to go, Big Dom. You got Dre Greenlaw kicked out. Didn't matter. You got your ass beat. So, Big Dom, take your ass to the sideline, and then him dapping everybody up after the game.
Yeah,
we'll get them back. We'll get them back.
He's on the team. That's what
Blood,
I'm saying.
you're not on the team. You're not on the team. You don't get to say that.
That's an issue. Like, that is an issue that he thinks he's on the team. I am just baffled by the whole situation. I've never seen anything like that. I agree with you, Jay. Like, obviously, the penalty, ill-advised. It wasn't necessary, especially at that point in the game. Like, it just felt like they gave the Eagles not just 15 yards, which helped them get into scoring range, but it gave the fans just that extra bit of juice that they didn't even need. Like, the crowd at that point was like already dead. The Eagles were dead to rights at that point, and they just got a little extra juice. I know the 49ers ended up blowing them out, and in the grand scheme of things, it didn't end up mattering. But you can't do that. So I think he knows that. I know Kyle loves it to an extent. I love it too. Like, I love the energy. I love the big hits and all that. But keep it within the rules and keep it within what's necessary. that was not. Now the Big Dom thing, I think calling it like a punch or whatever is very excessive. Like, Greenlaw was trying to point at Devonta Smith, and he just inadvertently, gave Big Dom a little love tap. Big Dom shouldn't have even been there. He shouldn't have even been there. And if his job
is call him Big Dom, can we just call him Dom? He's not Big Dom. Just because your stature is somewhat big, and like for obvious reasons, I don't want to like talk about it like that. But you're not Big Dom. You Lil Dom. Get out of here.
Lil Dom. Okay, Dom.
Yeah. Dom. That works.
Dom. Yeah. Italian Dom. Yeah. I mean, it just bothers me that now people are talking about this dude like he's some hero to the city of Philadelphia. Like, I saw someone who's like a beat writer for the Eagles say something like all I've ever known about, Dom is he's this great like, who is assassinating his character that you have to go out and make this post about Dom? Like, people acting like
It's classic
so
deflecting. It's
ridiculous.
classic deflecting from the fact that your team got dog walked, and now
Yes,
you've got to defend.
that's the post.
This is the
That's the
post. Yeah.
post.
Make sure. Side note, but
He's
he's
beloved.
beloved. You don't play. No one cares. No one cares, bro. You are not important. You are not special. No one gives a shit, man. I don't care, bro. Who cares? Oh my god. That hat is awful. Oh, that is like
Oh my god.
swaggerless. It is
That is
swaggerless. I
like
don't
that is
care.
like peak
Why?
90s right there, and dude is
I mean,
not
we've
like
we've
moved
already cooked
forward.
the Eagles so much that now we can even talk about this right now. But it's a non-issue. Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious to see what the league is going to do, because the league has punished people for far less. Like, you saw, as much of us saw, that the Eagles like fired a photographer who let Tyreek Hill grab his phone.
Oh, they took
Um,
his credential away, right?
they took his credential. Yeah, he's
NFL,
let
come on,
go.
man. Come
No
on,
fun
man.
league. But anyway,
No fun league. Yeah.
given that, I mean, hey, I feel like there should be similar, similar repercussions here, because there has to be a line between employers of the team and the actual team. Like, bro, you are not part of the team,
At all.
and you're not supposed to be on the white of the field whatsoever. So know your place. Stay in your place. And so let's see what the league does. I know there isn't. Maybe Drake Greenlaw gets fined, maybe,
Yeah.
but I don't see anything else happening with Greenlaw.
Yeah, that's it. Steph, it's been a fun show, right? Making fun of fictional characters in Philadelphia, making fun of the actual Eagle fan base, making fun of the Eagles themselves, making fun of guys who think they're on the team. I feel like we've kind of covered everything at this point. This is a really good win. Hey, by the way, Christian McCaffrey is really good at football. By the way, as well too, and so is Brock Purdy. Oh, all right, all right. I guess this is where we should do this, right?
Okay.
Brock Purdy is the betting favorite for MVP right now,
It's
and
always tied with Prescott right now, right?
yeah,
Is that
that's
still the
insane.
case?
That's insane because Dak Prescott is literally doing a world tour on every bad team that he can face, right? Like it's insane. Like I love how he gets credit for like dicing up the Seattle Seahawks, as if Brock Purdy hasn't done that over and over, and he will do again on Sunday. Spoiler alert, I'm picking the 49ers to beat the shit out of the Seattle Seahawks
Way to
again
go
as well too.
out on
Yeah.
a limb.
Yeah, wait, yeah, I'm really going out on a limb. But all the statistical categories that he leads in, for the most part, that means you win MVP. I mean, he's got more yards per
Usually.
attempt
Yeah.
than, Lamar Jackson, and his yak yards are less than Patrick Mahomes when he won. Steph, Brock Purdy, MVP. What do you think?
I mean, I've been saying it for a while that I think he deserves to be in the conversation, right? And I know you can make the argument of, within this team, who should be the MVP between Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey. And I think what's crazy is that I'd probably lean Christian McCaffrey, like, no shade to Brock at all. But let's be honest, the MVP award is historically like an award for quarterbacks, right? The most valuable position in all of football. So that being said, if the national conversation is going to be between like Brock Purdy and, a guy like Dak Prescott, then I'm going to have to go with our guy Brock Purdy, right? And I think this game in particular didn't move the needle for me. I mean, I know he had 4 touchdowns, but if you look at the performance, it wasn't like even his best game at all. He's just been doing what he's always been doing this entire season. And so I already felt before this game that he should be in the conversation. And I think just this game, it being in Philadelphia, it being against this opponent, higher gravity game, it would get more eyes on Brock Purdy being that guy. And I still see like these annoying ass narratives. I know people are probably trolling half of the time, but it still irks me. He's a yards after the catch merchant.
Merchant.
He's yeah, I know, like that. Like, are you guys bot accounts? Like, why do you guys say the exact same
Merchant.
thing? Like,
It's. I mean, it
a
goes with
dumb
all the
merchant.
trolling. Like, like how it is. Like me and
It
Jordan
irks
be
me
like,
though.
oh, he's washed, I fear, or like, he's cooked, I fear,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like that type of thing.
Yeah, I know. So I know they're trolling, but it annoys me to no end because I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like Brock has not been a check down merchant. He has not been a yards after the catch merchant. Literally, like we've been saying, like the 49ers have not had to lean on yards after the catch at all. Like that was the first game in a really long time that we saw it that much, right?
Yeah.
This season. And so that's a testament to what Brock Purdy's been doing. 9.6 yards per attempt is just one of the many categories that he's first in, and by a pretty wide margin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know, a couple of football analytic people have pointed out that a lot of the MVPs have been first in EPA. Well, currently Brock Purdy is first in EPA per play and also per pass play. And so, given that, I think he should be the favorite, right? I know that he does benefit from this offense and the playmakers that he has around him, but I don't think we can discount the fact that all of us 49er fans who watch all of these games know very well that Brock Purdy himself has brought something to the table. And all of that is deserving to be in the conversation. This is exciting. This is very
Yeah.
exciting to me.
I
When's
just
the
want to
last
say
time that we had a MVP candidate like quarterback?
quarterback.
Yeah.
Steve Young. Steve
Yeah.
Young. That's it. I do want to point out that as a newly inducted member to the PFWA, I have a MVP vote. So if you guys want me to vote 49ers, send some super chats my way, and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, because he
I
won't otherwise.
Yeah, because I do have a different take, unfortunately, and it's not being received well. But if there was ever a year, breaking news, Jason Aponte can be bought. They're gonna take away my vote if we like publish like this like too much or whatever. Anyway, but um, I do say this. I think if there was ever a year to argue that someone other than a quarterback would win MVP, this is the year. And I think the MVP right now is Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
I
I
just
would say so too.
right, like I just how many times have you guys been watching NFL Red Zone and they cut to the Dolphins game and he's running away from three guys with the ball in his hands and he
It's
has
crazy.
1,500 yards. He said he wanted 2,000. He's on pace to get 2,000. Tyreek Hill is the most dominant gravity like inducing player in this league. It's so insane that everyone knows, hey, we've got to stop Tyreek Hill. And hey, there goes Tyreek Hill running past all of us. And it's not like they're leaving him one-on-one with anybody. They're putting two or three guys on him. Tyreek Hill has been the most dominant player in football this season. He said he wanted 2,000 yards. He's on pace for 2,000 yards. I can see the argument for CMC. I can see the argument for Brock Purdy. But my goodness, man, all year, the one player who has been consistently dominant all year, hasn't taken any games off, is Tyreek Hill. And
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm
okay.
leaning right now at this point. I again, I don't need Brock to win MVP. I don't need Brock to
Yeah,
win MVP. That doesn't mean anything to me. If Brock wins a Super Bowl, and even if he doesn't win Super Bowl MVP, I don't care. And again, this goes back to my argument about the quarterback rankings thing. I don't care where you rank Brock Purdy. When Brock Purdy plays like this these last 3 weeks and early on in the season, the 49ers are unstoppable. So I don't care where you rank him. Tell me he's better than this guy. Tell me he's better. I don't care. Just play like that. But for me, Tyreek Hill right now has been the most dominant player in football the entire season. And that's who I would today on December 5th cast my vote for as Tyreek Hill.
that's fair. I mean, Tyreek's part of the reason that Tua was in the MVP conversation for as long as he was.
And remember, he can't
right?
throw the ball deep. He can't throw the ball deep, right? All Hill does is run deep routes.
Yeah.
Same.
No,
It's
it's
crazy.
fair. It's fair. I think, like, on that same token, Christian McCaffrey should also be in the conversation, but alas, like, not going to be part of the conversation just for the award being historically quarterback centered. So,
I mean, that's the thing, right? Is the MVP is I think okay. At least this. I'll say this. If we're going to automatically assume that the MVP is just a quarterback award, that's fine. I get that, right? Because you have offensive player of the year. So then Tyreek Hill's the offensive player of the year. Can we at least agree on that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, look, for me, it's just more about like what I'm seeing right now. We still have weeks to figure this thing out. Like if Brock continues, if Brock continues, hey, an Eagles fan, there he is. Put it up, put it up, put it up. Ezekiel, good to see you, Ben, and I'm so happy. And by the way, just to
We
put a
were
pin on this,
waiting.
I think Tyreek Hill is the offensive player of the year. But I could totally see a quarterback winning the MVP. Ezekiel, good to see you, man. I actually want to applaud you for showing up. You 49er fans are such big babies. Okay, you beat my Eagles, but it's far from over. Beat us in the championship game, then we'll talk. Are you going to be there? Are you going to be there? Are you going to be there? How are we big babies when your stadium was empty in the third quarter? All that talk that you guys had, boo-hoos from Hassan Reddick,
They literally booed their own
they
team
were booing
like
them at
going into
halftime.
halftime. Yeah.
Uh-huh. We're the big babies? Let me ask you a question. If any team, if any team, if any team that was supposed to be the best in the world got dusted 42-19, and it wasn't your team, what would you say about them? What would you say about them? You would say they're fraudulent. And guess what the Eagles are? Frauds! I'm so happy you showed up. I really am, man. And you know what? I'm proud of you because it was
No, they
nobody
already
else that
left.
was going to do it. Yeah, like y'all been ghost. Y'all been watching Rocky 2 because that's the one that he actually wins. Y'all been watching Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky 5. You've been watching all the ones that he wins. But man, you gotta be kidding me calling the 49er fans big babies when all y'all have been doing is crying since Sunday. Ain't no way you came in here trying to come to us and say we're big babies, man. If you don't take your ass out of here. And Brett's right, Rocky 5 was terrible, by the way. He had to fight in an alleyway. Tommy Morrison in real life would have totally watched him. It's insane that you came in here and said that. It's just insane. But I will give you credit for being the only Eagles fan that actually showed up because all of y'all popped that talk and never showed up. Steph, you got anything to say about Ezekiel coming in here and getting run out?
I mean, we just need to do like they did Dom and get his ass out of here, right?
But let's applaud him.
Okay. Golf clap.
Great job, Ezekiel.
Golf clap.
Great job, man.
He's probably already out of here. He said his piece and then did.
But don't worry about the championship game. I just wonder if you're going to be there. I don't think you are. I don't think you are. I don't want to hear about the championship game. You better figure out what's going to happen when you get in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be there. Just me. All right.
I like it.
I like it. I love it. All right. I think that's the best way to end this. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to both channels, subscribe to the Gold Standard Podcast Network on YouTube, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Follow Steph Sanchez on Twitter at Steph49K. Follow me on Twitter at JasonAponte2103. Go to goldstandardniners.com. There's a lot of great articles on there about grades and things like that, and you can get all the podcasts from there. Steph, woo! Good God, man. It's not easy cooking an entire fan base and an entire organization. But hey, I feel like in 58 minutes we did a great job. So
we've cooked Seahawks, we've cooked Eagles, we've got another round of
Dallas.
Bird. Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the Bird stretch here.
Okay.
So we got another week of cooking another
the
set
gauntlet
of Seahawks.
The gauntlet.
And then, later we're gonna cook some Ravens. So
I love it. So for Steph, for Jay, we're out of here.
Peace.